Hey everyone, I want to welcome you to Hutcast. Hutcast is a pragmatic approach to several things that happen in life and happen around us. So tune in, check us out. If you like us, give us a thumbs up to Hutcast. All right, everybody, I'd like to welcome you to Hutcast, Season 2, Episode 4. Now, if you listened to me in the past, you knew we were going to do an experiment, and today's going to be that day. We're going to do an experiment about President Biden. President Biden is going to be the first 3 minutes of this show, and you who know me know better of what I'm thinking here. Again, it's an experiment that we're trying. Also, we're going to talk about the Buffalo shooting. Tragic as it is, that Buffalo shooting itself is incredible, unbelievable. And we're going to have some conversation about it. But we're going to have conversation about it from the 2A side, the gun side of this whole debacle. And coming up third in the show, we're going to have conversation about Waltz's adoption of the car emissions of California here in Minnesota. And we'll explain to you why and why not that's not going to work. Or maybe it will work. I don't know. It hasn't worked yet. So stand by, Hutcast. It's just moments away. And don't forget, the first 3 minutes of this, don't tune out. Just hang in there, and we will have an explanation for that coming up in the next show. Welcome to Hutcast. Again, if you've listened to my past shows, we're going to do the experiment as of today. I listed it in my intro pre-roll, and I just want to take a couple of minutes to see if my theory is correct. Unfortunately, at the expense of you guys having to listen to it. However, if my theory is correct, there's going to be a whole lot of changes in the Hutcast show as whole. So we're going to talk today about Joe Biden. So Joe and Camilla are two in office right now. Now, again, Joe Biden himself has ran a couple of different times for many of things. I think he also ran for presidency back in his earliest career. I don't know how long Joe's been around, but Joe Biden has been here for a long time. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the two dynamic duo of our United States Senate, Congress, everything. They're the guys. They're the executive branch of what we have as offered today by the United States. Now, Joe is kind of a different kind of guy. He tells everybody he's got hairy legs. Joe has hairy legs, end quote. And Kamala Harris is just she's number 2 in the country. So Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Again, if you guys have had enough of this, you can just fast forward to the next section. But again, I am testing a theory at your expense. I'm sorry I had to do this, but it's about things I will tell you in an upcoming episode. And it'll be all algorithm-based. So again, Joe Biden, our fantastic president, and our first ever female vice president of these here United States. And I'm sure they have a whole lot in store for us. This is that part you see the memes on Facebook, the meme that says, hey, 2020, hold my beer. Well, this is going to be 2021, hold my beer. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, here we are. So again, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris testing an algorithm, a theory in which was brought to me by someone. Hopefully not a conspiracy theorist, but we're going to test that. And tune in next week, and we'll tell you why we are doing this. Kamala Harris, Joe Biden. For home and workplace comfort, we here at Dependable Heating and Air Conditioning have over 30 years of residential and commercial experience in replacing, repairing, and doing general maintenance on your heating and cooling equipment. Call the experts at Dependable Heating and Air Conditioning. For all your indoor comfort needs, we are located in Coon Rapids and serve the entire Twin Cities area. Call one of our professional technicians today at 763-757-5040. That's Dependable Heating and Cooling. Again, 763-757-5040, Dependable Heating and Air. Okay, everybody. Sorry to put you through that, but yeah, we're doing the test. So back to what the Hutcast is all about. Let me get my notes, my show notes here. We're going to talk about the Buffalo shooting. Pretty sad situation that we are in about this shooting. Alina Health Clinics took a shot from a guy named Greg Ulrich, 67 years of age. Prior incidences with the company and him, and prior incidences with Ulrich and the law. Now, we're going to take kind of a different approach to this, and my hearts go out to the people who actually took this abuse from this individual. But I'm going to make this thing a little shed of light because of the 2A side of things on this here deal. I'm a 2A guy, and this is not what 2A is about. 2A is not about terrorism. 2A is not about destroying someone else. 2A is about protecting what is yours by the constitutional right, Second Amendment, period. Now, on February 9th, 2021, this individual who has a prior known run-ins with the law in his twisted mind of things, decided to go in and not only shoot people with his 9mm Smith & Wesson, but he decided to make some IEDs, some explosives, some types of bombs, which I have no idea. No one's really talking about those. Regardless, it's still an ATF thing. It's still a terrorism thing. And here we are dealing with this mess. Now, the right's going to say, hey, he had some kind of reason for this. I don't believe that. And the left's going to say, hey, we need to put more gun laws on the people who don't do this so that this guy don't do this. Well, if you think of it that way, you're part of the problem. Because literally, the only thing that would have stopped this guy would be another gun in that room to stop this guy. So the old addict of, to stop a bad guy with a gun, you need a good guy with a gun. That's really fundamentally true, because look at our police department. They all carry guns, and they're there to protect themselves and us as the public. Now, can the cops be everywhere? Not even remotely close. These police officers who put their lives in the lines to be out there cannot be in that position at that point in time. History continues to show us this. And yet, we want to put more gun laws on people who are in those positions, not trained, but still in those positions. So you got a choice. You're in this area. You're in this waiting room. And this guy comes in and starts going crazy. Well, I'm an Alina Healthcare member, and it says every time you walk into an Alina Healthcare system building, and on the building it says guns are prohibited. Yes, they are. Did this guy listen? I don't think he did. Obviously, he did not. But the people who were honest and put their guns back in their vehicle and locked it down, the people who follow the law did what they were supposed to, while this guy did not. So put yourself in the spot of the guy who was sitting in the waiting room to get his hearing checked, or who knows what, his lab work done. And this clown comes in and starts popping rounds at people. Well, the law is pretty clear about protecting yourself. It doesn't say protect your neighbor, but if he sweeps that gun in your position, now it's because of that sweep. You have the right to protect yourself, and you can stop him with lethal force. Right on the spot, done. It'll be a crap sandwich for you, but you won't die, and maybe you've stopped him from killing other people. You just got to pump the brakes for a second here and go, what are these guys thinking? And will Alina Healthcare at this point in time take these off their building and say, Wemby guns aren't welcome, but we're not going to admit they're here? They should stop that. Because the bad guy with a gun don't read paperwork. They don't care. This guy's 67 years old. What's he going to do? He's almost 70. Did he have a life sentence of cancer? Was he dying? Did someone treat him wrong? Was there, he's known to be mental illness because he wasn't able to stand trial on another charge that he had because he was deemed incompetent. And we're going to get to that in the show. Incompetent with a gun. There's a whole lot behind this. It's not just a black and white issue. It's not just hey, we're going to put more guns on the shelf and we're going to tell everybody that you can't have them. It ain't going to work that way. It never could. It just could not do that. So you got to ask yourself if you're a carrier or if you're not a carrier. If you're in that spot, what would you do? Boy, it's a tough question. Everybody who carries a gun has that question in their mind because it is a huge, huge responsibility to brandish a weapon at someone, and you better be prepared to use it because if it's out and it's ready, there's no backs. There's just oh crap, well, now we get to deal with this. You didn't make that decision. You are not in charge of that decision. You are only in charge of the decision that you, who has your finger on your weapon pointed at someone who's going to point or kill you, make that choice. I don't want to make that choice. I don't think anybody on this episode would want to, or whoever carries a weapon would want to make that choice. But we don't want to be the choice made for us. So if he makes that choice for us, what else can you do? So let's back up here a little bit. Why did he pick that clinic? Just thinking of how he come across all this, and he's had prior incidences there before, and the police have been on page with this, like, this guy's done this. And if I remember right, he applied for his permit to carry. Permit to acquire. And there was a ruling coming down on his name. It's called the shall issue ruling. It's a Minnesota State Statute 624.714, part of that Chapter 28 and Article 2. And roughly it states that if he meets the criteria, then he's allowed to have a permit to purchase. Get him at your police station, go out there and say, hey, I want to purchase a gun. Not a carry, not even close. So if you hear me say carry instead of purchase, it's not a carry, it is a purchase. And again, I'm a big 2A guy, and I know a lot of stuff about this 2A. So now that we've talked about the shall issue ruling, and Second Amendment haters that will completely go against this because this guy did this, and they will punish the Second Amendment lovers who did nothing wrong during this whole situation. So there we have it. We've got a guy who comes in and messes things up, and the left's going to go out and punish him, and the left's going to punish us for him. And again, he had no intentions of reading anything on the building, nor did he follow instructions or law. This guy's proven this time and time again. So now we figure out how Alina Health Systems is going to either change their opinion or they're going to just let it roll like it is. Again, the only thing that's going to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. I believe that wholeheartedly, and a lot of people should believe that. Because they're the same guys, the same people that call the police and say, hey, there's a guy with a gun, so a guy with a gun shows up and, again, fixes that. All right, let's talk now about some of the inequities of getting a pistol or a gun, or any type of gun that has to do with carry or conceal or permit to acquire. I watched the news on this guy, and he said his roommate said to him, and he said to the news that this guy walked in with this gun and it was brand new, it was in the box, and he had it on the kitchen countertop in the trailer park where they live. Let me give you a little clue, a little heads up on really what it takes to get a weapon in this state, or even in this country. As an FFL, I see a lot of things come through my door. One of the things is people who decide that they want to buy something can't because they've got a protection order against them, or they've had one in the past and they want to have someone buy it for them. That is called a straw buy. You bring someone in who has a permit to acquire or carry. They come in, they buy the piece. In fact, they're buying it for somebody else. They don't know shit crap about it, and they're buying this gun. They don't even understand it. So he wasn't allowed to have a gun. Although the situation where he passed the criteria to get an acquire, but they haven't sorted that out yet. That's something they got to work on. You don't just go to the eBay and buy a gun and say, "Hey, I'm going to throw some money down my PayPal account and buy up a pistol." There are sites like that, but they do not send pistols to someone who's not a registered FFL. And as an FFL, if I deem any reason not to sell something to somebody, I have the full states and the federal government's support by denying service. If you have, like this guy did, prior histories, I've seen guys with crazy stuff on their past, like a speeding ticket. I'm being facetious, of course, but something trivial, and they couldn't get a gun to save their life. So I don't believe personally that this guy went to an FFL and said, "Hey, I'm going to buy a gun," and didn't get rejected, because he's had a history. So you go in, you run this 4473. He signs this sheet on the 4473, which is a federal thing. And if you lie on any part of that 4473, any good FFL agent knows that it's a felony. If you answer yes to the first one and no to all the other ones, if anything is out of check, you don't get a gun from the dealer. But if you lied on the form, now that's on you. That's not on the dealer. Now, we take that 4473. We dump it into a NICS system, NIX. It's a National Crime Database that says, "Hey, we're going to authorize you or not authorize you by a NICS number." We transmit that number and information of the owner, not the gun. We do not have a gun registry in the United States, but the owner and what he's wanting to buy. I've only done pistols and rifles and shotguns. So NICS gets this transmit. On their end, they have an agent sitting there going, "Okay, we're going to run this guy." They run his DL, they run his social, they run everything else and say, "Okay, is this guy okay to receive a pistol from this particular dealer?" And you have a couple of possible solutions there. It comes back right away as okay to sell, delayed, denied, and stand by. We're going to be calling you. Well, nobody wants to be called as a dealer. So where did this guy get this? Well, I'll tell you what. All these gun haters, these 2A haters out there who say, "Well, you can get a gun anywhere. You can just buy it on internet." It might not work that way in the real world. In their world, it might. But, there's the guys out there who are 2A haters that say semi-automatic handguns can do 60,000 rounds a minute, too, and they don't understand them. So Mr. Ulrich decided to get this gun. And you understand the process. If they decide, or I decide, that this guy is just not there, I can stop the sale. The federal government can stop the sale. There's a lot of things that can be in the way of this guy. The roommate also witnessed said it was in a new box. Well, that ain't hard to do because you don't know if it's a new or old box. Usually guns come shipped in a box or a container, and most owners keep their weapons in that same box until they get rid of it or move on. That's not an uncommon practice. So again, my heart goes out to these people that were in this position. As I explained earlier, the only thing you're going to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And I do hope somebody from Alina is listening to this, and somebody out in the world who has these on their buildings, "No guns allowed," will take note in what could have happened. Because we've seen it all before. The Texas church, where the guy comes in and starts massacring everybody with a shotgun. Who takes him down? Their security guy with a pistol. They line him up and they drop him right there. The assailant got one, but the guy who was protecting the sheep, the herd, he ended that. He solved that problem at that particular time. And it was a justifiable shooting from what I understand. Again, that was the Texas one about, year and a half ago, 2 years? Okay, well, this kind of ends up this Mr. Greg Ulrich, 67 years of age, February 9th shooting. And I want everybody to take just a moment of pause for these guys and put them in your thoughts and your prayers and say, okay, what would you do in this situation? How could you help someone, your fellow man, to stop this if this happened to you? I'd like to talk to you today about security, home security, business security. We here at ProTech Security care about your safety. We've been keeping honest people honest, we like to say, and give dishonest people something to think about for over 20 years. Not only provide high-tech security systems for your home and business, we also provide basic network and router management LAN and Wi-Fi for our residential customers. Support audio and video monitoring systems, card access, security systems, cellular phone amplifiers, home entertainment systems, and much, much more. We have experienced technicians that will design a system that will work for you. We are located in Osseo, Minnesota, and are waiting to design a system to meet all your specifications. That's right, ProTech Security. Give us a call, 763-493-2920. We are pro at keeping honest people honest. ProTech Security, 763-493-2920. ProTech Security Systems. Okay, and welcome back to Hutcast. Hutcast is the pragmatic approach to things in life and how we look at them. This conversation is going to be about the emissions control program that our beloved leader, governor, almighty one, however you want to describe him, he's still the guy holding the strings. So, emissions program. Those of you that know me know that I'm kind of a car guy. I do a lot of car stuff in the world. I have a lot of things that I've done in the past, and we are at a point where history is going to repeat itself yet again, because the youngsters who own cars, drive cars, have cars, are not paying attention. So let's give you some ideas on what's going to happen here with this emissions California program initiated in this here Twin Cities. First of all, CARB, California Air Board Research, CARB, is a program designed to make sure that the moving air that's out into California is not stagnant over LA, over any place that has a bay area. So when they had their CARB system set up, they didn't get enough air moving past the mountains. So they had all this bad air, this just pollution, this stuff that just was bleh. And I get their point. You know, we can be clean. We can do a better job. But how good of a job do you want to do? Do you want to be the guys who are doing nothing but electric? Because that's the long way out. Despite what the GM, General Motors, gal has so boldly put out there. Isn't that funny how she put that out there? Just after Biden signs the deal saying that we want to go full gasless, a carbonless car system in the United States government. I don't know if I like her politics on that one. For a second there, I thought she had our better interest at heart, but after she put it out there, after the executive orders were signed, I thought, okay, what are you doing? Let that sink in a minute. You know, and I'm a GM guy. Nobody else came to the plate and says, hey, we're going to do this, except Tesla. But who wants to spend $95,000 on a car that can go 400 miles, 320 miles on one charge, with no infrastructure to keep charging these up? It's going to be a slow process. And when you put time dates on things, you rush things. When you rush things and do things bad just to do them, just to beat a clock. Now, I believe that the beloved General Motors CEO was a little overzealous in what she said. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm a GM guy. I'm American as all can go. It's GM, Ford, Chrysler as far as I'm concerned. Anything built here on these here your United States shores are what I'm pushing for. California has this standard. It is a very strict standard. It is, in the shop world, when a car rolls in, it is the epitome of the worst crap you can throw on a car. Choke it down, use more fuel, recirculatory, EGRs, air tubes, anything you could possibly throw at a car, California did. and just enough to get you through the emission standard. Bar 84, bar 90, bar 95. I don't even know how many bars we're up to now. So as a shop, I have seen this, I have lived this. Don't believe it's going to work quite like it did the last time. First of all, they say that the old cars won't be retroactive. Well, what that means is if they really mean no retribution for these old cars, well, then how far do we go back? Go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, or are we just going back to last Tuesday? And I think that's bull right there. They're going to go retroactive. Because first, typical move by the left piece, typical move by these guys. Take a little, take a little, take a little, and then you know what? You got a full lot. Because we just ain't standing up and saying, no, we're not doing this. Trump did that. Jesse Ventura, remember that deal? He shut down these city, county, Hennepin County testing stations because they just don't work. And I'm going to tell you why. In the shop business, you have a certain set of cars that aren't going to pass no matter what you do. Now, you youngsters listening to this, pay attention because here's what's going to happen. If you don't have money for a new car, every 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you're going to get pinched. You are the people that are going to take this hit. You'll get a car. It'll have time and chain problems or wear guide problems on the chains, or you'll have ring issues or whatever ailment that car might have or that's built in or designed into that car is going to come back and it's going to bite you. It ain't going to be a little bite. It's going to be a big bite. So now you got this car. Will not pass emissions, bar whatever it's going to be now. And you don't know what to do with this car. You can't get tabs for it. You can't sell it because you're probably upside down on the doggone thing. You owe 20. It's worth 10. You can't trade it in. Now you're stuck. This might sound like a good idea for you guys. This might sound like, hey, free air, free peace, free love, whatever your free is, this will not be free for you. Again, you are going to get pinched in the worst way. Now, you're a dealer. Let's say the dealer sees this car. You roll in no tabs or expired tabs. Hey, when was your last emissions? Oh, it's long ago. I couldn't pass it. Oh, excellent. We'll give you nothing for the car and you'll like it. Because what are you going to do with the car you can't title? Now you're going to take that loan on the old car, which you're upside down on, flip it on top of the new car. And your new car is going to be $40,000. You're going to have $20,000 into negative equity on the new car. So now you've got a $60,000 car you're going to make payments on for the next 5 years. Until that one falls out of emission compliance. You see the cycle here? You will not win. You must say no to any legislators you have to say, whoa. If this is such a good deal, why ain't the rest of the world doing it? Because our local people, the supreme leader, is looking at rose-colored glasses because he wants to control these cars. He wants the MPCA to say, hey, we should really do this because California does it, and, well, look at what California messes in right now. They want to recall that governor. I hope they do. I hope they do, and I hope they take Nancy Pelosi with them and all the people that started this shit show. Excuse the French, Chateaubriand show. You got to stop and think, what are these people, what is their agenda by starting this up again? Because they want free air. Again, this free air thing, we are the cleanest country in the world as far as standards. I don't know if anybody cleaner than us, other than maybe Nanook from the north, who drives around an Eskimo on a dog sled. Yeah, come on, people, pay attention. This is the real deal. This will affect you. This ain't going to affect the rich people. This ain't going to affect the well-off, the hard-earned people who say, well, I'll just buy another car. Great. Until you're stuck with the old one. Hey, this car just came in. So, again, I call bull on the state emissions program to be passed in Minnesota or Hennepin County or wherever he's going to try and do this. It's going to be predetermined to fail just because of what I just mentioned previously. Now, predetermination means you're going to look at this and say, it can work. It didn't work last time. They're assuming it's going to fail. They built all these testing stations. And TSI bought a bunch of them. They said, hey, I'll buy them. Who wouldn't? Those things are set up. They had the top of the line of everything in them. They even had a roller brake dyno in them, just so you could do emissions testing right there on the ground. That means the emissions testing is a way of putting your car on rollers, tying the chassis down, and then simulating a road test without having to take it on the road, which also is a bunch of poo, because you can't fully simulate airflow. You can't fully simulate wind drag, tire rotation, tire drag, alignment, crosswinds. None of that stuff is actual. It's a simile of actual. So back in the day, when I seen those testing stations come up, I was on one of those. I tried to get one of those. So, why would you start an electric revolution now? If you were an OEM, and we knew this was coming down the pipe, and we've seen different ways. We've seen Tesla's deal. Battery technology has not caught up to what we've got in gas. We've been running gas for decades. And now we're going to run lithium polymer ions? Well, have you seen a lithium mine? Because if you really think that you're going to do better by running a pipeline or an oil field somewhere on top of a lithium mine, no comparison. If you truly cared about our environment, you look at one of those mines, and you might be sitting there thinking, bull crap. They can dig that in and fill it. No, lithium is a rare earth element, and it comes and goes, and it's gone. And they have to get to it. Look at a strip mine. Look at a coal mine. If we're worried about lithium, let's go to a coal mine. Look how they do coal mines, and they do a big, huge strip mine for a coal mine. And everybody's upside down about it and all pissy and mad and upset. You better be getting upset over lithium. And it's a great technology. Do not get me wrong on this. Lithium is an excellent source of power. It has the chemical characteristics of doing what it should, how it should, and for as long as it should, because testing and constant evolution of electric vehicles and batteries have made it to this point. Good gig. Just wrong time. And you can't go and bang the other fuels because of it. Because really the cleanest fuel out there is reactor fuel. You want nuclear? There's the clean fuel. And everybody's all upset because they think their kids are going to grow 5 heads and 2 toes and 9 teeth. But they sure like it warm when it's 15 and 18 below. Nuclear's still the cheapest, more economical source of power there is. On top of coal as far as efficiency and impact on the environment. Okay. I do believe we have covered the emissions program, and I would advise anybody to take some time to go out there and just do a very little bit of research to look at the differences in fuel consumption. Again, Tesla has made battery technology usable, not affordable, but usable. Again, nobody wants to spend $90,000 on an electric car just to save the environment. We have the greenies rubbing their hands together, bouncing up and down, saying, "Ooh, clean, clean, clean," but you're burning it with coal or nuclear, or whatever your local electric company is. Whatever that generation of power is what's going to feed your car. Had a customer come in, had a Tesla, did some stuff to it. Really, really cool gig. I mean, this thing's a rolling computer, and it is awesome. It is a very cool, awesome thing because it's different, it's new. I'm a toy gadget guy. This thing had gadgets for gadgets on the gadget. And it was fast. This thing could honk because electric motors create 100% of the torque as soon as you apply power to them. Gas motors are not. And the difference between a gas motor and an engine. Okay, now I throw this at a lot of people. What is the difference between an engine and a motor? Well, we break it down into 2 ways. A motor produces more power than it consumes, and an engine consumes more power than it produces. So if you look at it that way, an electric motor is way more efficient. It is way more torqueier, and you can spin them up quite a ways, but it takes money to build those motors. You got copper, you got steel, you got the same amount of parts, just ain't burning fuel. It's burning coal, which is a different type of fuel. So giving you guys just a moment of pause to pump these electric brakes. By the way, brakes on a electric car they have regeneration brakes. So when you apply this, a certain amount of power goes back into the charging system of the vehicle or the storage capacity. Nothing new. Toyota has done this for years. Regenerative braking system. Very cool, very neat. None of them are putting PV cells, which is photovoltaics, on the roof yet, except maybe that new truck that Tesla's trying to do. But I can't call that a truck. I call that someone who couldn't design a car, throw it into 5 different angles and says, here we go. But it could be, it's concept. So again, these people are trying to push through the future. If you don't try, you succeed at failing. Remember out there, try, keep trying, and when you're done trying, succeed. I know that sounds kind of Venezuela, but if you don't try again, you will succeed at failing. And I commend the guys who are trying to make this work. You got to have some control over your claims. Otherwise, people take it as gospel. It gets out in the media. Everybody thinks, we're going to do this. And then we set policies based upon that. And our senators and our congresspeople look at this and go, hey, we should really do this. And I'll tell you something. Knowing what I know about some senators and congressmen, good guys, but they do not have enough capacity in their mental cortex to know everything about everything. So they depend on guys like us, like you, to reach out and say, hey, this is going to work, this ain't going to work. Here's what I've seen. And they vote these laws in, which you will pay for. So again, people, be very cautious in how you are going to proceed with how you think that electric's taken over. Again, I'm an electric guy. I dig it, but I know what's going on and I know the truth of it. They cannot get rid of gasoline cars. It's not going to happen for centuries to come, and they still need fuel. Again, for Hutcast, thank you all for listening. This is the third and final of this episode, Season 2, Episode 4. Hutcast is having an issue with getting a website that I can monitor and maintain at all times, so I might just Facebook this so you guys can get on, get fast, and get out and see what you need to see. Again, running a full-blown website for this at this point in time is just not in my time slot. So again, I know I promised you some show notes. We're figuring out a way that we can get it to you. Again, for Hutcast, be well, people. And that's a wrap for Hutcast. Hutcast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for Hutcast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.